Alright everyone, I'm back making a new video specifically on the strongest character within High School DxD, that being Ophis, aka the Ouroboros dragon. And this one's gonna be like a way easier video, but a longer explanation simply because there's a lot of ways to scale Ophis, similar to Issei. But as you know, I'm gonna be using the two infamous tiering systems, that being CSAP, aka character stats, and of course VSBW. So let's not waste any more time and get into the vid.
Alright, let's use character stats and profile wiki's tiering system. Now, Ophis is the Ouroboros dragon, who basically is stated to be the strongest being multiple times within DxD, putting her above any other character within the verse, including Shiva. Now, we're going to scale Ophis off of Shiva, but first we need to understand that this Shiva is the same exact Shiva from Hindu mythology, and he even has the bottomless divinity and supreme aura as the one from Hindu mythology, applying more consistency. Now, let's actually scale Shiva. So basically, Shiva, he is Parabrahman, which is basically something that's beyond all descriptions and conceptualization, easily putting Shiva above the concepts of space and time and dimensionality, essentially fitting the criteria for universal on, of course, character stats. Now, this scale can definitely go higher, but that's up for debate. However, I'm willing to share another scale for Shiva that gets into high universal. That being the fact that not only does Shiva transcend everything in Hindu mythology, he also transcends all duality and non-duality and things like logic, easily getting him with type 3 transduality, which is high universal on CSAP, given the reasons I have given in my previous scaling videos. Now, Shiva reaching these higher universal ranges, Ophis, as I said before, would easily get to high universal, given the fact that she is stronger than Shiva. So right now on character stats and profile wiki, Ophis easily qualifies for high universal. Now, let's get into the VSBW part. Okay, now we're on to the VSBW part. Now, this one is fine, but the problem with this is that the new VSBW definition that we have been brought to us is a bit weaker than its old one. So for the purpose of this, I'm going to be using the old definitions of universal and high universal and boundless on VSBW's tiering system, and explain why the scale I'm using would, of course, follow along with both definitions, like both old and new definition. So let's just get into it. That has had to get out of the way. Alright, this scale could get a bit offensive, so I just want to get that out of the way. Right, so as we already presented, is Ophis is the strongest character in DxD, even above the likes of God. And I will present another scale for that being the case. So the God in DxD, right, is the same God, or the Judeo-Christian God, I should say. There's multiple consistencies of it being the case, like for example, like him being said to be from the God from the Bible, including the Old and New Testament, which you will find the Hebrew Bible in most of the time, including characters from Judaism within DxD, and the most important part, of course, the Tree of Sephro, which is by far the most important part. Now, let me explain how this is relevant. So we have to look into the character Ian Soft. Ian Soft is generally translated as infinity and endless, and it represents the formless state of the universe before the self-manifestation of God. In other words, as I presented, it's God before he decided to become known as God, right? That's basically the general explanation of it. Another standpoint, how he's the infinite, and he's like prior to any self-manifestation of the spiritual realm is within it, right? That's the basic part of it. Now, the thing about Ian Soft, about him spirituality and being a part of it, is that spirituality has no time and space limitations. These two limitations do not apply to our world. Essentially, since the two limitations, right, these restrictions don't apply to spirituality, we can even extend this to the concepts, right? It's pretty simple to understand why these concepts wouldn't apply to or why these would apply to limitations, because then again, if the constant of space and time is just any form of space and time, that's still just a restriction on said being. So this would basically qualify for it being a limitation and thus not apply to it. I'm pretty sure that makes enough sense. So essentially, Ian Soft is a being who is basically beyond the concept of space and time and dimensionality, and essentially, qualifying for the old definition of VSBW's outer-versal. Now, this is when it gets even more interesting. Ian Soft, or God, right, created the Sephirot, which is the 10 emanations and used as God as a way for God's infinite light to manifest into creation. Now, it even goes into more depth, right? Because we need to understand more about the Sephirot. The Sephirot is the 10 emanations in Kabbalah where Ian Soft, the infinite, reveals itself and continuously creates both the physical realm and chain of higher metaphysical realms. Now, I like how the way they explain this, because the way they explain this completely identifies the fact that these higher metaphysical realms that he's creating is in a hierarchy. And it's an infinite set amount of metaphysical realms. We know this is the case because Ian Soft, the being who is infinite, an infinite being is continuously creating physical realm in a chain of higher metaphysical realms. So it's an infinite amount of these realms being created. And the chain of higher metaphysical realm, well, think of a chain as just, I appreciate what a chain looks like, and each part of that chain being a metaphysical realm. That right there is the metaphysical realms, and as you see, it's saying higher metaphysical realms, which you see higher in most cases in fiction, such as higher dimensional beings, which higher dimensions will refer to one dimension above the other. That is the way it's being presented here. So each part of that chain is a higher metaphysical realm, indicating a hierarchy, one above the other. So Ian Soft is creating an infinite layered hierarchy. Each metaphysical realm, each layer of that is beyond the concepts of space and time. We know this is the case because Ian Soft is an outer-versal being whose creation is creating these realms. So it's basically asserting that this AP equals these realms. Basically, what I'm saying is that all this is within Ian Soft's creation, who is an outer-versal being. So this is an outer-versal hierarchy, basically qualified for outer-versal plus on VSBW. Now, why did I scale that? Why is that relevant? Well, the thing about this is that Ophis, or how VSBW works, they use set theory, as I said in the other video. It's pretty self-explanatory. They literally use they usually use set theory, and the way outer-versal plus mathematically is, it's just that it's defined as aleph. Each aleph or outer-versal is defined as using alephs one above the other, etc., etc. Right? Uncountably infinite greater. Now, this extends all the way to outer plus in both the new and old one. And the way inaccessible or way high outer works, it's defined as using an inaccessible cardinal. And what inaccessible cardinal is an uncountable cardinal is inaccessible if it can't be reached by other alephs through cardinal arithmetic. So basically, no matter how many alephs you stack onto itself, right, it will never actually reach the inaccessible cardinal. It's just completely beyond it. That's what high outer is. It's just basically external and unreachable by outer-versal and general alephs. So think of that infinite layer hierarchy as alephs. Now, basically, you can see where I'm going with this. I'm going to equate Ophis to an inaccessible cardinal, but something greater, and what I would like to call that is absolute infinite. Absolute infinite is basically something that's bigger than any conceivable or inconceivable finite or transfinite. Now, exactly how is Ophis absolute infinite? Well, she's literally stated multiple times to embody and be the personification of infinity, essentially making her the concept of infinity where all forms of infinity derive from. Essentially, that would include the idea of infinity proposed by mathematician George Cantor, which absolute infinity is an extension of. Pretty obvious. There's another way to get her with this, is the fact that her infinite power is similar to God's infinity, which is also absolute infinity. Now, the point of this is that any cardinal in general is a transfinite. It's a part of these transfinite numbers, which absolute infinite is supposed to be above. So essentially, no matter how many hierarchies, no matter how many layers of this hierarchy you apply, Ophis would just transcend that. She's the one true infinity. She's the one true infinity that you can't reach through stacking other infinities. I'm pretty sure that is obvious. You can't reach the recursively stacking infinities, and it just would be above the ellipsism entirely, basically equating her to the higher reversal, which is low mod what absolute infinite is. Because essentially you can get her even beyond this due to it transcending inaccessible cardinals as well. So Ophis would be boundless, well, even higher, like so you can get the scale even higher. But right now I was low about it. Should be boundless on VSBW really, really easily. Like, this is honestly crazy how these DxD characters end up being so powerful, which I never thought they would be powerful in the first place, but I guess they completely changed my view on it, I guess. So we can go to conclusions on the entirety of the scaling. So in conclusion, Ophis, the Ouroboros dragon, would be high out reversal on character stats and profile wiki, and boundless on VSBW. That's the conclusion I've reached for this video. So hope you guys enjoyed another of this scaling video. I hope I cleared up any confusion as well. This is definitely a tougher scale to understand, but I hope you guys can understand it pretty easily just from reading the scans, right? And the explanation I gave. So I'll see you guys in the next video, I guess. Bye.